And back in 2008, I got a gig tour managing a band called Across Five Aprils from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I took a Greyhound from Richmond, Virginia to the bus station right up there. And I met the band here. And this was the first night of the Victory Young Bucks tour. And so it's kind of a full circle moment. I haven't been here in 16 years, and here we are playing here tonight.
At the trail end of Red Letter, calling it quits, Bradley and I started Side Oceans. And from there, Steve joined up with us, and he was in the band for the duration of the band.
I guess we have to go all the way back to, it must have been 2007, I think. I had some good friends from my hometown in Chester, Virginia, who had a band called Love and Reverie. And I wasn't playing for anybody at the time, and so I just liked to go out on the road, and they were my friends, so I just ran merch for them. And I remember hearing that weekend we were coming up to a town called Pulaski, Virginia. I had never been there, but there was a show booked at the bowling alley. And that's how I pretty much met Billy and Bradley. I think that night we ended up all staying somewhere in Radford, couldn't even tell you. We all bonded. It was a crazy good time. And I remember going back home and thinking, man, it'd be pretty cool to drum in this band. And so I took a Greyhound bus to Roanoke. I remember Ryan and I don't know who else coming down and picking me up from Roanoke. And then we went and jammed. It was a good time. And I went back home, and I think everyone had a good time. And it was pretty much said that I was going to play drums. We all decided we were going to move down to North Carolina, where Ryan was living with his mom down there. And we were going to do a band down there. I couldn't even tell you. It's kind of like a blur, that part of my life, to be honest with you. How long this part of my life was, I don't really know. Maybe it was 3 to 6 months. I really couldn't tell you. Wrote some music, and basically, I think it boiled down to people being homesick and such, and Billy and Bradley decided to move back. So I can remember being on tour and getting a call from Bradley while I was tour managing Across Five Aprils. And basically, I remember getting back home and being very burnt out. I didn't want to be in the area I grew up, and got in touch with Brad, and he was like, well, we'll figure this out. We'll make a place in the band. There through basically the next year and a half, we're playing shows. We did a couple little tours. I basically, how I remember it is, after getting back from one tour, I basically was feeling very burnt out again. And I didn't know what I was doing in my 20s. I thought I wanted this or I wanted that. I really wasn't sure. We got back, and I decided I was going to step down. I ended up moving back to Richmond in 2009. And started writing some songs, ended up recording some songs under this name Rivals with a good friend of mine I grew up with. I did that for a while. Pretty much for the next 2 years or so. Played some shows locally in Richmond with that group. It was a lot of fun, but I found myself in a situation to where I was basically like homeless. And I remember waking up one morning in a place I didn't want to be, and reaching out to Bradley. He was like, me and Billy are coming to get you. And yeah, that's what they did. They drove down, I think that same day or the next day, maybe. If I recall, it was the same day I reached out. And I remember just feeling like a weight was lifted. We're coming back up to Pulaski. I think at this point, Billy and Bradley had a place up on Case Knife, and Tyler was living with them. And I don't think they knew that I was coming up. So it was kind of like this exciting thing. We were going to surprise them. And, at this point, Side Oceans has changed quite a bit. I can remember moving up here, and we had only maybe 3 weeks to a month, and we were going on tour for this thing called Gimme the Gig. We were going to compete in this thing where we had to play in Arizona. So we booked like this whole tour around it. Got that booked, went on tour, competed in this thing, get back home, and inevitably we find out that we get to move on to the next thing for it, and that was pretty cool. After we got back from that 2011 tour, we pretty much parted ways with our drummer at the time. And we can basically get into the period of 2012 to 2016. And that's really the bulk of Aside Oceans for me, at least. That's when I moved to drums. That's when I feel like I was happy again playing music. You know, during this period, we went back on tour. We got to go basically shoot a TV show called Gimme the Gig in LA. They sent us money and we booked like a whole tour around it. It was awesome. Went out there, did that. You know, we're a 4-piece at this point. You know, Billy's on guitar, Tyler on bass, me on drums, Bradley singing. And I think we kind of craved that bigger sound again. Here comes in Gabe McFarland playing guitar in the band, and we're a 5-piece again. Do another couple tours, and one in 2013 and one in 2014. 2014 was the last tour we did. Actually, last tour I even did in music. Haven't been on tour since. I think around 2016, man, we all just needed a break from it. So that's when I guess you would say Aside Oceans actually like broke up. Was 2016. I remember after that, Billy had written some songs, and we basically kind of recorded a little EP together that I drummed on and kind of mixed a little bit. These demos led into the antecedents. And you could hear anything from that band. We were very eclectic, I'll say. Then in 2018, that's kind of when my life kind of turned really bad. And I guess people would say I hit rock bottom. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I basically started dabbling with methamphetamines and went down a really bad journey with that. It led to me being told, you know, to step down from the antecedents. And yeah, it was the worst time of my life ever. And it got a hold of me for basically the next 2 years on and off. And maybe I should have like sought real help to get off of it, but maybe I'm too prideful. I just was like, I'm going to do this myself, you know? And I did. You know, from there to now, we're talking about 3.5 years now. So I'm really proud of that. I've come from that to a good job, to playing music again. In those 3.5 years, I've still fell on hardships. I've lost a job. I was let go from a job. I lost my dad. And I'm still going to persevere through that. And losing my dad ultimately is why I'm here right now. It was finally a way to reconnect with Billy and Bradley and to get this opportunity to play music again. And I remember the last time I talked to Billy before where we are now, and he was like, look, man, this isn't the end of this, but this is bye for now.
We didn't talk for 2.5 years.
Longer, man.
Really?
I mean, it was probably 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, 3.5 years.
You know, and I mean, it was, you know, yeah, it was when your dad, you know, passed away that I just couldn't not reconnect over that. You know, it's like when you start seeing, you know, people that are close to you lose people like that, kind of like when Ryan's dad passed. You realize in those types of moments that you're not going to live forever. Get in a van with your friends. Take that Greyhound. You know, see the sights, hit the road. You know, it's like, don't be afraid because you never know what could happen. But ultimately, you make memories and friendships that could last forever if you cultivate them properly. Time's only moving, and this train is just going to keep rolling. So, best to be on it with the people that I love the most.
You know, surround yourself with the people that matter the most. Have fun, and you know, live your best life. That's my advice.
Yeah.
It's my cat's automatic feeder. Put it in there. Anyway.
Nice.